Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pager, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 8, the final season, the Bon Voyage season. This is going to be my review for episode 6 for this season, otherwise entitled Reset or Reset, however you want to pronounce it. But of course, before we get into the rest of the video, spoilers, because stuff happens in this episode that is sort of spoilery for the season. And if you've not watched the episode, you'd be spoiled. So don't continue if you have not watched the episode because you get spoiled. But last episode was episode 5. We headed to Russia. It was otherwise called. It was otherwise entitled Prognost, even though I know that's not how you pronounce it. But we went to Russia. Fight Club, a bit of a test for Laurel in regards to her morality and whether she would actually betray Oliver or not, and she doesn't, which does play into this episode as well. But right at the end of the last episode, we did see Lightly get sort of exposed, bit of a diss track, bit of a mic drop from Laurel as Oliver and Diggle they're enlightened about Lila's true identity or what she's actually doing of recent with the Monitor. But quickly before we jump into the events of this episode, firstly, if you're going to enjoy it, why not drop a like on the video to show your support? It would be awesome if you could do that, as well as leaving all of your opinions in the comments section down below. Would be grateful if you could do that. But also David Ramsey directed this episode. David Ramsey, of course, the man that plays John Diggle on the show. So I think he did a really good job I think this is his directorial debut. I think this is his first episode he's directed. I don't think I'm wrong in that. If I am, let me know. But I think this is his first episode. So congratulations to David. But we start this episode off with Oliver waking up randomly. So he's in a suit. I was like, okay, what's going on here? At first, I thought he might have been mayor of Star City again. I thought they might have done something there with this. That's like the alternate reality where he's Star City mayor again, because he sort of was dressed in the part. But he's like being told that like the tranking or the tranquilizing by Lila was this big misunderstanding by the kids from the future and stuff like that. And obviously we knew that wasn't the case. Something else was definitely up. But Oliver essentially has been like asleep for 2 days or something like that. Like Oliver doesn't have any memories of the past 2 days. And apparently, according to Diggle, that's how long it's been since all that stuff happened on the rooftop. So Oliver's definitely a bit confused. But we do find out that Quentin Lance is alive and he's actually the mayor of Star City. Now, Quentin, in this reality, if you want to call it, survived the shooting from Ricardo Diaz, which obviously, if you remember back to the end of season 6, that's what actually killed him. He, took the bullet for Laurel, essentially. But we do find out that Oliver still did the whole thing where he went to prison and, followed that storyline from the end of season 6, which wouldn't have been impacted whether Quentin survived or not, so that made sense that he would still have gone to prison. Now, Oliver and Quentin do go on a mission. Essentially, it's to SCPD to stop like a hostage situation between a group of villains or criminals and them taking, SCPD members hostage. Unfortunately, it fails and the guy pulls out a bomb and the bomb goes boom. But then, Oliver goes back to the point where he wakes up. We're in a bit of a time loop here. We are definitely in a bit of a loop, and now the episode title of Reset makes 100% sense. Like, I think when the title came out, I was like, Reset? Is that a resetting of the timeline? Is that what's happening here? And then we got the promo images and Quentin was there. I was like, okay, something's weird here. What does Reset mean now? Now we 100% know what the title of Reset means. Everything is making sense. But obviously the whole thing is like sort of like a Groundhog Day thing or like a Happy Death Day thing. Like Quentin's the trigger point. Like if he dies, it's a loop. So that's like the whole trigger point. And like with the concept of this episode and what's going on in this episode, Quentin is like the focal point. If he dies, that's where the time loop starts again. Now, I did like how Quentin, when like Oliver was telling him about the time loop and like all this stuff happened, like, okay, you died, blah, 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 I woke up and now I'm here again, I'm just stuck in this time loop. I do like how Quentin was like, yeah, I'm just going to believe you. Like, I've seen too much strange crap to even doubt you, like, referencing the Flash and other things like that, like Laurel being from another Earth and everything like that. I love how Quentin was like, yeah, what's the point of even doubting you? Because it's probably going to end up being true. So I just love that they skipped like the disbelief from Quentin in that scenario. Now, it was interesting to see that Laurel is stuck in the time loop as well, but she's the only other person there. So it's Oliver and Laurel that are stuck in this time loop. And at first they see it as like, I guess like a form of punishment from the Monitor. They see it as like either a form of punishment or an extreme test by the Monitor, as they are like the two people who I think Laurel says like have pissed him off the most, which is probably accurate. I think Laurel's done it. In Laurel's eye, she's probably done that considering what happened in the last episode and probably with the mic drop of exposing Lila as well. So it's understandable that Laurel will be in that mindset that that's what's happening throughout this episode. Now, it was good to see Laurel and Quentin reunited. I just loved having them in season 6. I thought they had a really good storyline. just like with that bond forming with the Earth 2 Laurel and the Earth 1 Quentin, because both versions had lost the other on their Earth. So Quentin had died when Laurel was young, and obviously Laurel had died previously a couple of years before. So I really like that bond that they formed. But it was interesting that even when they succeed with like stopping the bomb, Quentin still gets shot. So it's this big thing where they really can't win, and it leads them down the storyline of, you know, or down the path of each of them succeeding where they needed to succeed. So that was interesting, and like I think that was the point where we found out he was the key, even though I did allude to it earlier on. Now I did really like the scene where Laurel tells Quentin like what really happened in like the real, you know, timeline or universe or whatever, or reality, whatever you want to call it, that they're from. I like that she actually just tells Quentin straight up what actually happened. You know, going through like the series of events where it's like, yeah, you got shot by Ricardo Diaz, but unfortunately this time around where I'm from, you didn't survive. So I did like how they went through that. It was a very emotional scene. I thought it was a very good scene. Laurel and Quentin were probably the MVPs. I think Quentin automatically becomes an MVP, but then you got to choose between Laurel and Oliver. And I think Laurel just had the better scenes with Quentin because she had more. Oh, then Oliver had 2 good ones as well. I think Laurel probably had like 3 with Quentin. So yeah, I think maybe Laurel just pips Oliver. I don't know. What do you think in the comments? Let me know. But speaking of Quentin, we do have his legitimate death scene in front of like the thing that Laurel sees last. So Laurel finally gets the chance to say goodbye to Quentin and everything like that. So Laurel got what she needed from this test. She got closure. She actually got to say goodbye to Quentin instead of what had happened last time, which was, you know, at first, Laurel was thinking that this was like a punishment towards herself and Oliver, but in the case of Laurel, it was more of a reward for not betraying Oliver in the previous episode and really showing her good morals from what had happened previously. But this leads Laurel to basically being taken out of this alternate reality because she succeeded and done everything that was needed to be and achieved what needed to be achieved. So Oliver's still there at this point. He hasn't been taken out. This needs to happen. I think you can have Laurel and Oliver both there and both of them achieve what they needed to achieve. They both needed time alone with Quentin, so they needed to do this. So we do see Quentin actually allowing himself to die, and this is all in order to teach Oliver basically to accept fate, which is pretty much the main story and the main lesson for Oliver to take out of this I guess experience with Quentin, which is obviously going to be a big thing heading into Crisis. Although it was just great by both and just really well done. I think Arrow has been decent the past 2 episodes, but there's just been stuff in the way. But they really just had a character-focused episode with 2 characters, and I guess a very big not life lesson, but a big lesson leading into Crisis for Oliver. And I think they did a really good job. Just simple, accepting fate, and Quentin doing what he did. Now, we did have Lila's talk to Oliver about Crisis, about everything having a purpose, essentially, since leaving Felicity and Mia in the cabin back at the end of Season 7. Obviously, Lila is very sort of vague in what she's like. She doesn't name drop the Anti-Monitor or name drop any other specific threats coming. She's very vague, but you can tell that she's serious, and Oliver can read that off her as well. So I think that's very interesting that they were very vague about it, because they could easily go, okay, Oliver, the threat is the Anti-Monitor, but I think being vague is the best way to go about it. So I really like that scene where there's a lot of vagueness about it. There wasn't any need to just go overboard and just, you know, spill the whole bowl of ice cream in our faces, if that's an analogy to use. But the end of the episode is crazy. So Oliver and Laurel wake up from their weird reality on Lian Yu. That's where Oliver and Laurel wake up, and I think it's very fitting. I think it's very fitting that this is where we're going to be, because next episode is episode 7 of a 10-episode season, but episode 8 is Crisis, episode 9 is the backdoor pilot, and episode 10 is a series finale where things are going to be very different. So next episode, when you really think about it, is the last proper episode of Arrow. It's really the last, like they really should treat that episode like a series finale, and based from what we know from Promo Images, I haven't seen the trailer, but based off Promo Images and just, I guess, the setup from the end of this episode, it should be nuts. It should be nuts, and I cannot wait to see it. I think it's very fitting that we're, quote-unquote, ending the show on the place it started in the Season 1 flashbacks. I think it's so fitting. Can't wait to see what they do there. Now, William, Mia, and Connor were there. Based off the Promo Images, Renee and William are there as well. Renee and Dinah are there, but I don't think you see them at the end of the episode. Maybe they just show up there, or maybe they're off screen. I'm not too sure. I didn't see them on the screen at the end there, at least. But I can't wait to see what happens next episode with Lian Yu and necessarily how they wrap it all up before Crisis. But yeah, guys, overall, this is probably my second favorite episode of the season after the episode 1. I don't think episode 1's going to get topped. Next episode might, because it looks bonkers, and maybe the series finale. But I think I don't think the series finale will, because series finales are never like a 10 out of 10. They're usually just sentimental, and there might be like a 7 or 8 out of 10. But I'm looking forward to next episode. This so far, I think, is number 2 out of this season, with number 1 just being, I think, too good to skip over. But I really enjoyed the episode. Loved having Quentin back. They really closed the door on his character, and they allowed Laurel specifically to have some closure and actually say goodbye, but also Oliver as well. So I think they just did a really good job. Love character-focused episodes, especially when it's characters that work well together on screen. So yeah, love the episode. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on the episode. What was your favorite part? What got you thinking? Do you have any theories leading into next episode? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.